Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on an electric motorcycle, and I suspect it's probably just, batteries, but let's tuck into it and see what we can figure out. First of all, I'm going to start by taking some of the skins off so we can get at the battery compartment and check those out. All right guys, I got the skins pulled off. You're going to need a 4mm and a 5mm Allen or hex key. And also you're going to need a 8mm and a 10mm socket. Now I was able to use some long extensions to reach in there to get the stuff that I needed to reach, and I also used a long extension for the Allen keys. It just seemed to make things a lot easier. But at any rate, you can see the bones of it now. This is the motor controller, and these are the three batteries. This is a 36-volt system. So now all we got to do is pull the batteries out. We can, test them individually to see if therein lies our problem. Okay, now what I ended up doing is running over and grabbing a 6.5, because that's the same as a 1/4 inch, to so I can use these short bits. But you can see there's one here, and then there's one that's down kind of between the frame that you're gonna have to be able to get those screws backed off in order to pull the batteries, to test them out. To get those pulled, and I'll bring you back. Yeah, I'm sitting here working on this motorcycle, and I've seen something moving in the background. And of course, at first I thought it was a spider or something, but they got a stowaway. It's a wood lizard. You look right back in there, you'll be able to see him. Oh, spooked him out of there. It's a fairly cold night, so he's not going to be particularly ambulatory. See if we can get a better view of it. All right. Oh, he's made a bad dash. All right, well, enough fooling around. All right, so I got the rest of the motorcycle out of the way, and made room for the important stuff on the bench. But yeah, what I'm seeing is this battery is actually split open. I'm guessing it must have frozen at some point. It, perhaps could have been from a crash. But you can see the batteries are sealed up with hot glue, but I'm assuming that these are just flag terminals underneath. So I'm going to get that stuff pulled out, and there are fuses, inline fuses, but I'm hopefully going to bypass all that, go right to the terminal so we can check the batteries. Obviously that one is for sure no bueno. I have a high-tech plan for removing this. I think it's just hot glue is what it feels like, or glue from a hot glue gun. But since this one's already buggered, we'll start with it. Yeah, it looks like it's just a flag terminal under there. I'm not sure if they've got them soldered on or... Yeah, feels like it might be soldered in place. Yep, definitely soldered on. Well, no matter, it'll still give us access to test the batteries directly at the batteries. I just wanted to start with this one since I already know it's garbage. I don't have to worry about damaging anything. So it's the one to experiment on, because regardless, it's going to have to be replaced. Well, there's no point in checking this one because we already know that one's buggered. 8.94, so that one's trashed. And 7.59, so it looks like they're all trashed. Probably I will take and throw them on a charger individually to see if they'll come back, because I have no idea you know, what's going on with them. But the first thing I'll do is pull these solder joints loose, so as to you know, get them out of the way. All right, so I'm just using the soldering gun just because, you know, it's kind of ideal for this type of just brute force desoldering. And the only thing you need to remember, I think the only reason that they soldered these on is to encourage you to buy from the factory when it's time to replace them. But if you look at the way the plugs are set up, this is your plug back into the harness, and it's coming off of the end, or either end of the battery setup. And these are simply jumpers from one battery to the next. So like this and like this. And what I did on mine, just to help me remember, I went ahead and labeled them. Just used a black Sharpie. But if you understand the principles of series battery, it's 12, 24, 36. So what you're doing is you're grabbing from either end here and then jumpering these two so that you're adding up the batteries. That's all. So tomorrow we will see what the availability is on these batteries, and hopefully be able to reuse these terminals and just get in some new ones. All right, guys. So here's what what I got is identical batteries, identical footprint. All the specs are the same. The only difference is these are F1 terminals, not F2. So I'm not going to be able to use my just push on flag terminals that I was hoping to use. The original battery was F2, but I did like the way that they had the heat shrink on there with a big glob of hot glue as a strain reliever. So I'm going to copy that, you know, process, and I'm going to have to solder the terminals back on because of the size of them. And so basically we're just going to duplicate exactly what they had. And the first thing I got to do, just to make sure I don't forget, is go ahead and cut some shrink tubing and put it on all the wires before I get started. Otherwise I'll forget. And for those of you that are going to ask what I used for the shrink tube, because it's just what I have on hand, it's 1/4 to 1/8 by TE brake hem. Yeah, it's 2-to-1 shrink ratio, so that ought to do our trick. And I'm using some old Permabond rosin core. Again, it's just stuff that I had, you know, here around the shop. All right, I'm going to start with these inside ones because I think they're going to be the hardest to get. And I'm having to use a soldering iron because, yeah, my soldering gun quit working on me. I've kind of been on a roll with soldering guns lately. I don't know. Well, you get the idea. I'm just going to go through and hit the rest of them. Like I said, I got my shrink tubing put on because, yeah, that's a problem for me. All right, I got all those soldered up, and I've got my shrink tape in place, which, as I mentioned, for me, I don't know why, but it's a blind spot for me. I always want to forget the shrink tape, and I'm actually a fan of it, so it's a little bit annoying. But at any rate, yeah, we'll go ahead and get these shrunk down, and then we'll move on to the hot glue. And yeah, then we can get to putting this thing back into the scooter and see about taking her for a test drive. I hope you guys can hear me okay over the heat gun, but yeah, let me get all these done, then I'll bring you back. Alright, now on these two center posts, and I don't know why, but I ended up having to use rosin. I don't know if it was you know, extra rosin for the solder. I don't know if it was, they were just, you know, had some corrosion on them. But at any rate, you know, just giving you a heads up. We always, you know, suffer with stuff like this anyway, because you know, you're scared about damaging the battery. So I kind of, you know, want to mess around and mess up with cold joints. But yeah, at any rate, I think we got it resolved, and that was that. So now we are moving on to hot glue. As soon as the gun heats up, I'll bring you back. All right, I just saw it start to ooze. All right, again, I'm gonna move on, hit each one of them, and then move on to the next step. All right, well, it took the old hot glue gun a minute to get up to temp, but you know, yeah, once it did, it really could spew the goo. So at this point, I think it's just gonna be do a little cleanup and get the motorcycle back up here on the lift, and where it's easy to work on, and start putting things together, because I want to get a charge on these for a while before I put any load on the motorcycle. All right, well, we got the skins put back on. I powered it up. I have not charged it, but when I turn the power switch on, Up on the handle here, it has a power indicator that I didn't even realize was there, because I've never messed with one of these until now. And it's showing full and 36 volts. So I think it's time to take her out for a quick spin. Well, there you have it. A little bit of batteries. I'm sure it could use a topping off on the charge. Yeah, I'm sure I'm over size or overweight for it. But yeah, all in all, it's been fun, and it's actually kind of fun to ride. It's really nimble. It's, you know, feels a little crazy, to be honest with you, because the only other bike I ride is, I've got an old or older Harley, and she's not what I would describe as nimble. And this little thing is so light, and I don't know, it's it feels just very different. But yeah, the fact that it's quiet is nice too. So, well, there you have it, guys. Have a great one, and we'll talk at you. Oh, and if you like this kind of stuff, please like, subscribe, or if you know someone that would, please share and help us build the channel. Thank you.